Good morning, everyone. My name is Kaustubh Wagle. I'm a managing director and partner at PCG. It is my utmost pleasure to introduce you to this very exciting discussion on Gen AI 2.0, the next frontier of artificial intelligence. I'm joined with me here with a very distinguished set of panelists, and who I will introduce momentarily. What we want to do today is talk about what Gen AI 2.0 really means. What does it mean versus 1.0? Where it's headed? So what could a 3.0 look like in due course? What kind of opportunities it presents, the risks, and how do you navigate them? So without further ado, the panelists. Let me start with Dr. Hakim Hacid. Dr. Hakim is the chief researcher at AI and Data Science Research Center at TII, which is the applied research arm of Abu Dhabi's Advanced Technology Research Council. We have Professor Keith Ross. Professor Keith is a professor of computer science at NYU Abu Dhabi and has previously been in Shanghai as well as in New York. Lloyed Lobo, he is the co-founder of Boast.AI, an AI-enabled platform that automates R&D tax credit claims, and more recently is a very active angel investor in AI startups. And last but not the least, Andrew Mackay. Andrew is the AI sales director for Microsoft across CIMA. Welcome, everyone. As you see, we have a very diverse panel here that allows us to talk about topics from research and academia to industry and startups. And I really want to explore the full range of the topics today. So let me start off with a kickoff question for everybody, right? Just so that we get everyone in the room on the same page, the same starting point. So gentlemen, and I'm starting with you, Dr. Hakim, and going sequentially to you, Andrew. What is Gen AI 2.0 in your view? And what are the distinguishing features of Gen AI 2.0 vis-a-vis 1.0?
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I think we are going extremely fast, right? We are already at Gen AI 2.0. I don't know if people remember already Gen AI 1.0, right? It goes extremely fast. So what is Gen AI 2.0, in my opinion, is what is coming currently and the capabilities of the AI models to first think, because so far we haven't been thinking, at least these models haven't been thinking. They have been generating, so the reasoning is an extremely important aspect of the Gen AI 2.0. The second thing is the ability to digest more than text. So we hear about the multimodality a lot. We have been doing a few things in this field, but I think there is clearly an acceleration in the last few probably weeks around this multimodality, where we are getting all the modalities mixed up and the models are capable of digesting these things. So for me, it's more around mainly around the combination and the mixture of reasoning and multimodality, to keep just my answer very, very short.
Professor Keith, your take on it?
I would largely agree with that. I think generative AI 1.0 was first, started in like the, around 2021, 2022, with text-to-image systems such as Mid-Journey and Stable Diffusion, and then that was quickly followed by ChatGPT, the first version. That was probably, in my view, generative AI 1.0, and much of what's happened in the past few years is generative AI 2.0, which includes marrying reinforcement learning to large language models to get reasoning and inference time thinking, having large language models access tools such as compilers and so that they can run code and test code. That's a large part of it. All the work in fine-tuning, customizing large language models to do specific tasks for specific verticals, that's also part of 2.0. Of course, the multimodality thing is a very, very important part of it. Yeah, so that would be my take.
Awesome. Agreeing with them when the way you look at Gen AI 1.0 is driven by these large language models, and it requires human intervention, human inputs. And Gen AI 2.0, I term as large action models, where the AI does human work autonomously, and reasoning and multimodality is all a part of it. But that's the distinction I'm thinking in my mind as an entrepreneur is the action done autonomously versus human input. And it is a very, very exciting time because huge industries are about to get disrupted. They already are. I think like 8 months ago, Andrew Ng had this demo where the agentic wrappers on LLMs were twice as accurate as the LLMs itself, and that ushered the wave of, hey, human work done by AI autonomously is here.
I think I will add the perspective more from an enterprise point of view because that's the segment I work with. I think season one, as we referred to it at Microsoft, was the breakthrough era of AI with OpenAI and ChatGPT, and we saw enterprises adopting it with use case driven initiatives around chat with the data, knowledge management, and back office automation. We've also seen the cost or the barrier of entry drop 85% per token for LLMs. Now it's much more affordable and accessible. And in Lloyd's domain, we are seeing now the option of customers having build versus buy. You have the option to build versus buy maturity in the market. And in season two, it's the new capabilities around leveraging multimodal, so not just LLMs, but SLMs from various providers. It's the multimodality and reasoning capability that is significantly improved, and that's paving the way, as my peers have said, for agentic AI. But the most important thing, I think, is also the evolution of the AI platform that allows enterprises to create these solutions with consistency, reliability, and in a secure manner that generates trust with the customers that they are putting these out to.
Thanks, gentlemen. Maybe, Lloyd, for you, what has been most surprising in your view, just to the backup of your question?
The most, I don't know if it's surprising, the fundamentals of building a startup haven't changed. It's expedited the process, right? I think AI is probably the largest technological shift we've seen. We've gone from like on-prem to SaaS, right? And when SaaS came about and cloud came about, it was easy. Before, I come from an era of doing startups when we had to stand up our own infrastructure, and that was very expensive. And then with SaaS and the cloud, anyone could rent infrastructure, right? And now you're at a point where anyone can launch an application without even hiring a developer or CTO. And there's this huge wave of vibe coding that's come about, right? And vibe coding is you pick an application or a pain point, you understand the entire flow, and then you leverage something like Replit or Cursor or Lovable to create the first iteration of that application and launch it and sell it. A friend of mine maintains a huge leaderboard of single-person, multi-million-dollar companies that are leveraging AI, right? And so I think we're heading in this world where we'll start seeing single-person run multi-million-dollar businesses, and it's already happening. And that is the most interesting thing I'm seeing in my world.
Fantastic. So clearly there will be a plethora of different applications across different sectors, which will help with the adoption of AI. And then I want to get to you, Andrew, again, right? At your role at Microsoft, you seem to have a very interesting vantage point to see which industries, which sectors are really adopting AI. Can you give us a view of what you're seeing right now in terms of adoption?
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing for me in season one was the highly regulated industries, government, banks, insurance, FSI, and telcos, usually slow to adopt any new paradigm of technology. But in this region, they're actually the forerunners. They're the lighthouse examples and investing heavily in this new Gen AI technology. And I think for them, they see the potential for the technology. They see that they can actually achieve the ROI that they want from their business objectives. And that's why the investment and achievement of getting these AI solutions into, say, the contact centers, because customer care, I think, is one of the key pillars where we're having a huge impact with this technology. We're seeing banks and telcos offload close to 90% of frontline calls to voice-enabled AI agents that are available 24/7, and even agent-assisted agents that can take care of very complex billing issues, fraud issues, and move from a reactive to a more proactive stance when it comes to customer care. And we're seeing also the telemetry on NPS go significantly higher for these sectors.
Excellent. I want to still stay with you two gentlemen at the back there. So, look, when we talk about adoption and we talk about these new applications that are coming out, Lloyd, we talked backstage about your exposure to a whole bunch of different startups in Silicon Valley and also here in the Middle East. How do you see the business models for Gen AI 2.0 companies and startups evolving? And how are they different? And how should they be designed differently versus the Gen AI 1.0 tools?
So I've long believed and maintained, and people called me crazy in 2017 when I used to say this, is customers want outcomes. They don't want software. Customers want to pay for outcomes. The thing is, with the wave of the first SaaS applications like Salesforce and HubSpot, they're all glorified Excel spreadsheets, and they build cottage industries of consultants. And now you buy this piece of software, and you need to hire somebody to maintain it, manage it, train. We're heading in a direction where labor and software will become one. More and more customers will want to pay for the outcome. And software as a service will start turning into service as software. And so what that means is, compare an AI company with a services company right now, right? So you run, let's say you run a marketing agency. You charge a customer a lot of money for an outcome, right? You do whatever that is, a marketing plan or an ad. Unfortunately, these services industries, businesses, they have very thin gross margins. So the evolution of that is an AI-powered marketing agency that now is high scale, high gross margin, right? Why would you need a HubSpot or a marketing automation system if you can just get more leads, right? Ultimately, you buy technology to drive you outcomes. You want leads. That's why you buy marketing automation. You buy Salesforce because you want to increase pipeline velocity, not to sit and manage this glorified spreadsheet, right? And so if these incumbents, these incumbents have the highest opportunity to adapt because they've got this proprietary data. But if they don't adapt and start selling outcomes, pushing outcomes faster, I think they will get disrupted by the Gen AI 2.0 companies. And there's a lot of them. Like in sales, there's Landbase. Landbase has raised $16 million from a plethora of top-tier Silicon Valley VCs. And they don't sell you a CRM. They sell you leads. So your calendar is full. Right? And I think we're heading towards that business model, usage-based, outcome-based versus seat-based, subscription-based.
Great. And maybe, Professor Keith, to you, right? To facilitate this shift, we talked a lot about agentic AI and making autonomous AI. Where do you see that headed in terms of the technology shift, right? And what are some of the biggest challenges technology-wise in your research that you're seeing to allow us to get there?
Well, I think challenges. First, I guess I'd like to say that I think AI we're really in like a state of flux right now. There's a lot has happened in the past about 13 years, and probably a lot more will happen in terms of basic underlying innovation in the next 15 years, and there'll be many surprises going forward. I think one of the challenges is getting ready for these various surprises. If you really think about it, the AI revolution, in my feeling, really began in 2012 with a major breakthrough in classifying objects and images. And that was done by this researcher, Geoffrey Hinton. And basically the main idea there was to bring together large amounts of data, large amounts of computation, and neural networks. And that's that same paradigm, those three things, have been carrying us all the way through this whole AI revolution that we're experiencing now. This Geoffrey Hinton, by the way, he just won the Nobel Prize for physics, and he never did any physics in his life. He was a pure computer scientist, and anyway. So since then, we've had breakthroughs in protein folding, and mastering the game of Go, beating grandmasters, and more recently in generative AI. Going forward, I think, I think many of the major challenges I feel are really societal challenges. I think much of the technology is already there to do really fantastic things. I was talking about this during before that. For example, in the medical field, there was a recent study showing where they had some very complicated cases, medical cases that they asked doctors, general practitioners. And they asked general practitioners to give a diagnostic, and they asked ChatGPT to give a diagnostic. And this was already about 2 years ago when ChatGPT isn't as strong as it is now. And ChatGPT outperformed the doctors. And so, what's telling me is that we could have AI doctors right now. What's preventing that is more, it's not a technology problem, maybe not a business problem either. It's really more of a regulatory problem, a society problem of allowing this kind of thing to happen, allowing AI to actually, on its own, without humans in the loop, do prescriptions. This is, I see, as the biggest challenge.
Very helpful, Professor Keith. Look, that's a nice segue into talking about societal challenges and more broadly what it means for us as workers and humankind and purpose behind our work. Dr. Hakim, I want to ask you, because I know you've done a lot of thinking on this space, what does this mean for the future of work, right? What jobs are going to be replaced? What jobs will be upgraded? How do you think about this?
Yes, that's an interesting problem, actually. So, well, you have probably the short answer is that all the jobs will be replaced by an AI, right? I'm just joking, guys. It's okay. Right? No, I think, yes, there is definitely, there are two paths in this problem, actually. So the first one, I think AI is definitely becoming much more powerful. And the intelligence that we have in AI will allow us indeed to probably work in a more efficient way where we do not necessarily need the amount of people that we are using today. I think there will be a few things that will probably disappear. The first ones that will start feeling the heat would be probably people in IT, like all the developers, the programmers. We see today the capability of these large language models to generate code, to write even full projects, full softwares, and then compile them, test these things. So they are doing an amazing job. But again, not all the developers will be probably disappearing. So there will be always an elite developers who will, in my opinion, stay needed, and the AI will not be able to reproduce that. Because the AI, at the end of the day, is basically trained on what's in there. Coming up with new ideas is not there yet. So this is one aspect, what we see as an immediate impact on the jobs. And just an example. And then you have all the repetitive tasks, probably, where we will suffer a lot. These things will be automated. They will be automated now or maybe down the road in 2 years. Because we need to keep in mind also the AI is not just these large language models, right? I think robotics is coming, and that's the next wave. And many tasks also will be automated. But luckily, there are solutions, right? I think the jobs will be just transforming. Probably the expectation is just a transformation of the expertise and what people are expected to do. I think there is a need to move from a point where the employee or the the worker is having everything in mind to do his job, to something that will be more on how to use AI to do things in a better way, right? So there is a need for a transformation, and I think we need to start from now. There is a need also to involve academic partners. I think the university programs, for example, need to be slightly reviewed, updated, depending on the needs of the industry. So yes, I think the long answer would be maybe we will not lose a lot of jobs right now, but there is a wave that is coming, and people should prepare themselves to do things that are more into how to use AI to increase their expertise, how to understand better AI, how to bring AI to their workplace to generate value, as this was mentioned before me.
Very helpful. Look, I have two follow-up questions to that answer. First of all, in terms of being prepared. So if you were to give advice to your three children we talked about backstage, what advice would you give them to be prepared for this future?
Yeah, I think we need to go, again, being trained in AI is a key element. I think AI is here to stay. It's not something that will disappear this fast. Maybe it will change a form, but it will stay here. I think whatever domain my kids will be pursuing, I think I will advise a parallel domain that is AI. So I would combine necessarily AI with something else. If they go to medicine, I will definitely advise to do also some AI-related stuff. If they go to, I don't know, accounting, they have also to work on AI and to associate an AI expertise, an AI degree to whatever they do.
Very helpful. Look, Lloyd, I have a question for you on this topic, right? And two perspectives, because I know your kids go to a very interesting school that is focused on AI-based training. So maybe a view of how you see that in the future. I think that's it's a nice pioneering concept. We'd love to hear that. And then the second question also for you is following what Dr. Hakim just said is, I know you look at verticals, right? What's the role of experts in these verticals today? And do you see this role remaining relevant 5 years from now?
Definitely. I'll start with the education piece. So I'm an anti-schooler. I didn't finish high school, and my wife got into med school in second year of undergrad, Stanford, super bright. To prove a point that I could game the system, I got into engineering school without finishing high school, and I graduated with a software engineering degree with an undergrad thesis in AI collision avoidance. The point I'm trying to make is the education system has primed us on the path of obedience. Everyone's the same, follow the path, and move. The issue we're facing right now is AI is getting better and better to a point where the jobs that AI will take is going to be hard for somebody to upskill, because by the time you upskill on your Coursera, AI may have learned your new job, right? And this is not very different than when I started my career in the late 2000s. We were automating warehouses with robots. I helped Simon & Schuster shut down a whole unionized warehouse and save $5 million with robots. That company, Kiva Robotics, that the robots we use from Amazon acquired it for $1 billion. That was, imagine, like 15 years ago. Today, you can think and reason. So if you are priming your kids to go through this paradigm of K-12 and heads down and obedience, you're basically sending them to compete with robots. As we head into the future, learning agency, meaning how to do things on your own, how to control the AI, how to critically think, how to question, how to deal with ambiguity is more important. So we're running an experiment at home. I think your soft skills, your ability to communicate, your ability to create, and consistency is more important. So the school called Alpha School, they have an AI tutor. It's actually a physical school. And for the first 2 hours, the AI tutor adapts to you and it teaches you. So you may be at grade 1, but you may learn at grade 5 because you're learning that much faster. And so the AI tutor adapts to you. It's not on this K-12 paradigm. and it teaches you 2x faster, and you learn much ahead. The rest of the time is socializing around activities. You get grade fivers creating managing Airbnbs, running startups, creating robots. Some of the teachers there, the PE coach there used to coach the Miami Heat. I think this is the future of school, where you learn, AI teaches you much faster and it adapts to you. And then, like adults, we socialize around activities. We don't socialize around academics. And what matters is your ability to create, your ability to communicate. And tying into that, then, where does the role of the domain expert fit in? I think in the AI world, where it's so much cheaper and faster to develop technology, the domain expert is more important than the engineer. Think about this. Pick maybe somebody at partner level expertise in any field, any vertical, and pick a low-code, no-code AI agent solution. Leverage the domain expert to understand the end-to-end ontology, the workflow of the service they're delivering, and then start automating the rudimentary functions of it. And I think that I will bet you anything, as we head into the future, the domain expert is more important than the engineer, because the tools are prevalent. See, if you look at Amazon and you look at Microsoft, they all started with this, they gave you the cloud, right? And storage. Then they moved to compute. And then they moved to LLMs. They're going to make agent infrastructure ubiquitous. So then who will be more important, the engineer? If anyone can, I'm an angel investor and advisor to Personal AI. Personal AI helps anyone deploy AI teams. Companies like AT&T is using them. So if anyone can deploy AI agents, then is the engineer more important, or is the domain expert more important? So you're heading in the world where having high agency, having the ability to create and question and reason is important, and having domain expertise is important, in my view.
So you are giving us hope that there are jobs for everyone. You pick the right expertise, go deep in it, right? So there is an opportunity for us to thrive.
I would urge everyone here, just as an experiment, okay? Maybe go to deeplearning.com or just Google search or YouTube search like Replit or Cursor or Lovable. Pick any sort of rudimentary thing you're doing at work and deploy an AI agent to take that work away. Something simple, right? I think mapping the steps of how you go from A to Z to deliver an outcome is important. Then deploy an AI agent, play with it. If you don't have these skills into the future, maybe your job gets taken away.
Very helpful. Very helpful. Thanks, Lloyd. Look, I want to talk about what's coming up next. You know, we have obviously very distinguished researchers and academia professors here. I want to get to you, Dr. Keith. How are you seeing the future in the next 2 to 3 years, given the pace of change? I want to ask you what's 10 years down. No one knows. In 2 to 3 years, where do you see Gen AI headed? What are the next major breakthroughs in your view?
So I don't know if this will be 2 years or 5 years in the future, but I feel that one area that's still very open is the area of video data. So, you know, of course, in AI, it's all powered by data. And the LLMs are primarily powered by textual data. And basically, we've already fed into the LLMs all the text that exists on the planet. So, you know, what's left that we can feed into these systems? Well, we can feed into them synthetic data that AI agents and systems create themselves, say through reinforcement learning and exploration. But the other area, which is really missing, a lot of researchers are very, you know, active in this area, is trying to make advantage of all this video data that exists out there. So the data in YouTube and TikTok, and films and documentaries, et cetera. And I don't mean like taking that data and translating it to text and then putting it into an LLM. I mean directly taking that video data and using it to create these world models, these predictive models, which in the future may help power robots. So try to create something the way the human mind works. The human mind doesn't just work with textual data. When we go to grab an object, we're not necessarily thinking through that. We're just going and doing it in a visual way. And so this is one, so this is something that we'll probably see maybe in this decade, some kind of breakthrough in this space. The more short term, I think, over the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to see these LLMs get very, very strong, very strong in reasoning already. They're going to get even stronger because that space has really just started. We're going to see much more tool integration, and of course, we're going to see much more integration in education, in industry. I think that's where we're going to go in the next few years.
Thank you. So clearly there's a whole ton of opportunities. You highlighted robotics, and this is obviously going to help society in a massive way. The flip side of the coin, though, is I can also imagine massive societal challenges. We're already seeing this. So I want to get to you, Dr. Hakim, now, on the societal side of things. How do you ensure responsible use of AI?
Yeah.
And I'm conscious this is a very broad question, but I would love to hear your perspective on this.
Yeah, I think that's very, very important question, actually, as we move forward. I think the technology is growing fast, again. Maybe we need to understand the risks probably first. Some of the risks are mainly related to the data that we use, either for training or for also inference. Well, we can give all the advice that we can. People probably will continue use AI in a very sort of different ways. I think there is a need for the regulation to improve somehow, to adapt to AI. I believe currently we have enough in terms of rules, laws, regulation to control what is done with AI, how it should be used, so on and so forth. But the progress we are seeing probably will call us to rethink this legislation, this regulation. So that's an important part. And then, as every technology, I think we shouldn't over-regulate to the point of stopping the innovation and stopping the creativity. So we need to understand, we need to educate people, I believe. There will be always issues, as we have seen in different other technologies. So the idea probably is not to get into risk zero. This doesn't exist, in my opinion. But at least I think the education and the training of everyone, as many people as we can, will be the main enabler to get a better or responsible use of AI.
Very good. And this is clearly a work in progress, ongoing, iterative effort that I think we need to do,
Absolutely.
the governments need to do, institutes need to do, individuals need to take care of. Okay. Now, assuming we do all of this, the future is bright. Talking of future and adoption and really making everyone's lives better, I want to get into, as we talk about the future of AI, with all these breakthroughs that we are seeing with the video and the, even more advanced multimodality. Maybe Andrew, over to you. How do you see enterprises adopting even further, right? If you look around the bend, where are you focusing your efforts? Where do you see enterprise-grade adoption going even faster and to the next level?
Yeah, I think, with the context of adoption and the impact on the workforce and the community, I think the first thing when we talk to the CXO on boards is, the skilling of the workforce, whether it's government or the enterprise, is super critical. Because yes, there will be some roles that probably won't exist in 6 months, but that doesn't mean the person occupying that role doesn't have something else to do. And I think that's the opportunity for all of us. And the immediate threat is not from AI, but it's from the person or the human that can leverage AI, as you said, Lloyd. That'll probably replace you in the organization. So I think that skilling and forums like this, creating the awareness of AI and its importance to the economy and to you as an individual, super important. So we're going to see a lot of skilling, I think, happening in the enterprise. Number two, the number one challenge I see with agents and the adoption of multi-agents, so not just within companies, but between companies, negotiating, for example, contracts. For that to really take off in the next 6 to 12 months, AI agents need to be reliable and consistent. I think that's the number one challenges enterprises will have. Having an AI agent that can repeat something 1,000, 100,000 times, holding your brand value in context when it's working on your behalf. And we will see the evolution of IT departments more to almost like HR, like HR managers of these agents, because as Lloyd said, we need that human in the loop to manage these agents to make sure that they behave properly, on behalf of the organization. So those are the main themes I see. And then at the enterprise technology level, it's the AI platform, as I said earlier, is super critical to have that engine humming and becoming ubiquitous across the organization. And you're not spending time managing that AI platform versus managing the outcomes, as Lloyd said earlier, for your customers and or your citizens. So that's where I see the near future for us with this
Great.
technology.
And it's fascinating to hear your agentic view of how collaboration could work across organizations. So it's not only you have agents that are negotiating on behalf of companies, but also interacting with them and collaborating with them.
Yeah.
This is really fascinating.
I want to share a funny experiment on that cross-agent application. So 6 months ago, my relationship with my wife greatly improved. I deployed this SMS agent and been messaging my wife, texting her, like we're dating, right? And she's responding and our interactions have gotten much better. Then I recently find out that she's deployed an SMS agent too. So now it's not me and her talking, it's our agents talking. So that's what I'm saying, we're already there.
So do you guys talk or?
So now we're forced to talk in person.
Very good. That's a funny story. May the spark between you and your agents continue. Fascinating. But maybe staying on to you, Lloyd, right? I want to ask the same question I asked Andrew, but more from the early stage startups, right? Those that will eventually mature and also be adopted by enterprises. Where are you seeing, and where are you investing your time today? What verticals are you really passionate about?
So I'm excited about any vertical that is predominantly manual, right? Like human intensive. That is a recurring need. Not like a one and done, but like a service is needed all the time, monthly, yearly. It's a sort of annual. It is a recurring need. It's a largely predominantly human intensive service. And then the third, preferably if it's in a regulated industry, even better, because it's hard to displace. The way I would approach it is because everyone's building these single agent applications. The thing with these single agent applications is any vibe coder, any Y Combinator, any kid off the street can pick up one of these applications and code up a single agent application, carpet bomb with email and ads and get some usage, right? So what differentiates you? What is the moat in the AI world for a business? The moat is your proprietary data set and your ability to perform multimodal interactions on them at high frequency and high intensity, not just like updating this one thing. And if you can get an AI system that's near autonomous at high gross margin, then you have a very high scale business. And so first step is look at a vertical service. I think marketing is very interesting. Accounting is very interesting. Legal is very interesting in the Middle East, especially, I think. And look at the end-to-end, map the end-to-end ontology of your professional service. Like, how do you onboard a client? What happens right now? You send emails back and forth, you get on calls. What happens from the time you sign a client to the client getting the outcome? Map the entire workflow. Then remove all the unnecessary steps and then agentify it, build the AI system. Otherwise, you're going to have if you have a crappy workflow, then you have an AI system that sort of automates a crappy workflow, right? So build the best workflow for a service, build the AI system that automates it. Now you've got this proprietary data set. Once you get this, there's two metrics that matter here. High gross margin, so try to get as close as possible to 70-80% gross margin. And the second thing is high net revenue retention. What that means is the customer is not churning. So you have a high gross margin business and the customer is adding more and more clients or expanding. Once you have that, you can raise in any amount of money because you can acquire all the other services firms for pennies on the dollar and roll them up like the PE playbook. And I think that is a huge opportunity. Figure out a vertical service, map the ontology, build the AI system that gets it to 80% gross margin, 100+% NRR, and then roll up, do a leverage buyout or something and roll it all up. I think that's a great playbook, and not a lot of people will do it because it's not easy.
Great. So, great to hear your Silicon Valley perspective. I know we are short on time, but I want to bring the perspective now to the UAE. And my final question here, maybe for you, Dr. Hakim. How are you seeing, briefly, the future and UAE's role in shaping the future of AI?
Yeah, I think the UAE's future in AI is totally bright, in my opinion, right? So there have been a lot of investments that have been done. These are serious investments that have been done in AI. We are not anymore in that strategy where we want to play mainly on the sales of things, but more into the creation of value and the creation of value locally. And for this, I think there is a very strong vision, very strong support from the leadership to make this happen. We see all the investments that are happening from different perspectives. We have the infrastructure, for example. I think everybody is aware of the amount of investments that have been put in place. There is also an investment in terms of creation of this intelligence, these AI models, researching, developing these AI models. There is also a lot of investment in the talents, right? So 2 years back, for example, it was extremely difficult to bring people to the UAE to work on R&D related to AI. But now, like just last year, I think I have hired around 4 very good profiles from outside. This year, since January, I got 11 people. So things start to be extremely attractive and interesting. So for me, the future is extremely good, and the UAE is becoming a serious hub when it comes to R&D, research, development. Even I think from the academics perspective, it's becoming a serious player. And this is helpful a lot to attract people to advance. And I think we have even a chance to sort of shape the worldwide debate around the AI and also the sort of contribute to the advancement in this artificial intelligence field.
Excellent. I think that's music to everyone's ears in this room. So you have the pleasure of saying everyone's jobs are gone, but you also have the pleasure of saying the future is bright. So thank you, everyone. Look, I want to wrap this up. So very good perspectives across all the different industries. I really enjoyed this discussion. If I were to wrap it up, it seems like Gen AI 2.0 is not only a tech shift, it is a societal shift. It is up to us to make this future not only innovative with all the breakthroughs we talked about, but also very inclusive and collaborative, like we talked about, and extremely responsible as well. With this, I'm very excited about the future, and I want to thank our panelists for the perspectives and for the time they've shared with us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.